You already know this feeling. You woke up today, and before your feet even touched the floor, the war had already started. That quiet voice, the one no one else can hear, already measuring you. Already reminding you of the distance between where you are and where you should be by now. And you got through the day. You did. You showed up. You worked. You said the right things. You held it together. But now it's late, and the room is dark, and you're lying here with that weight in your chest again. Not because something went wrong today, but because nothing changed. Another day in the gap. Another day carrying two versions of yourself everywhere you went, the one who showed up and the one who should have shown up instead. I know what brought you here tonight. Not curiosity, exhaustion. You are tired of fighting yourself, tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix because this tiredness doesn't live in your body. It lives in the space between who you are and who you know you could be. And that space has become the loneliest place in your life. I want you to stay here for a while. Not because I have easy answers, but because I see something in you that you have stopped seeing in yourself. And before this is over, I'm going to show you why the war you've been fighting so hard was never the war you thought it was, why the distance you've been trying to cross was never real, and why the person you're so desperate to become is closer than you have ever imagined. But first, you need to understand who's been fighting and why they believe they cannot stop. Now, let me ask you something, and take your time with this. When you think about who you are, right now, today, what comes up? I don't mean your name or your job or the facts of your life. I mean when you sit quietly with yourself and ask, who am I really? What do you feel? I think for most of you, who you are has stopped being a description and has become a verdict. It is not a neutral observation, it is a sentencing. Who I am is someone who knows what they should do and doesn't do it. Who I am is someone who has been given every opportunity and still hasn't figured it out. Who I am is the person who keeps promising to change and keeps waking up the same. You felt this, haven't you? And there is a particular cruelty to this kind of suffering, because it feeds on your own intelligence. You are not struggling because you are blind. You are struggling because you can see. You can see exactly where you could be. You can see the life, the discipline, the version of yourself that would make everything make sense. And that clarity, that vision, which should be a gift, has become the instrument of your own daily punishment. I want to tell you about someone, not someone I met, someone I want you to recognize. There was a writer who could not begin. Not because she lacked talent, not because she had nothing to say, but because every sentence she put on the page was immediately measured against the masterpiece she could see in her mind. And the sentence always lost. So she deleted it, and tried again, and deleted again, until eventually she stopped opening the document altogether. She told people she had writer's block, but that was not what she had. What she had was a war between the writer she was and the writer she believed she should already be. And in the space between those two, in that gap, nothing could survive. Not a sentence, not a paragraph, not a beginning. Does this sound familiar? Maybe it isn't writing for you. Maybe it's the project you keep meaning to start. The business, the conversation, the change. But the shape is the same, isn't it? You can see it so clearly, and the clarity is what freezes you. You are allowed to admit this. You are allowed to say out loud that your own potential has become the heaviest thing you carry. Now let me show you the other side of this war, because this is the part no one talks about. Let's look at who you could be. That future self. That version of you who wakes up early and doesn't hesitate and has the body and the focus and the peace and the life that all makes sense. You know this person. You've imagined them 1,000 times. You may have even made vision boards about them or written about them in journals, And I'm not going to tell you they aren't real. They are real. But I am going to tell you something about them that might change everything. They have become your tyrant. That shining future version of you, the one you hold in your mind as proof of what's possible, has become the voice that says you are not enough yet, not ready yet, not there yet. Every morning, that image of who you could be stands at the foot of your bed like a judge, arms crossed, reviewing the evidence of yesterday and finding you guilty. You use your own potential like a weapon aimed at your own heart. Isn't it so? But here is something I need you to hear, and I need you to hear it in the part of you that has been bracing for criticism your entire life. The person you could be, the truly whole and wise and compassionate version of you, would never treat you this way, not ever. The version of you that has actually found peace would never look at where you are right now and say you are not enough. Only the idea of that person does that, only the fantasy. The real one, if they could speak to you, would say, I know how hard this is, keep going. But gently, you know this is true, somewhere beneath all the noise you know. So here is the real question. If who you are has become a prosecution, and who you could be has become a judge, then where does that leave you? It leaves you in the space between, in the gap, in the no man's land of not enough and not yet. And you have been living there so long in that middle place that you have forgotten something important. You drew that line yourself. You created the gap. You invented the distance. And then you spent your life trying to cross it. If you have felt this, if you have lived in that space between and wondered if you would ever reach the other side, then what I'm about to share with you may change the way you see everything. Because there is an old teaching about a student who brought this exact war to his master, and I want you to know something before I tell it. This war you are fighting is ancient. It did not begin with you. Every generation, every culture, every person who has ever been honest enough to look at their own life and say, I know I could be more, has stood exactly where you are standing. You are not alone in this. You have never been alone in this. There is an old story about a student who walked a very long road to reach his teacher. He was young, not young in years necessarily, but young in the way that people are young when they still believe the right answer will fix everything. He had dust on his feet and a heaviness behind his eyes, and when he finally reached the small house where his teacher lived, at the edge of a quiet forest, he did not bow. He did not sit. He did not wait to be invited to speak. He simply stood in the doorway and said what he had carried the entire way. Teacher, I am at war with myself, and I am losing. The teacher looked at him for a long moment. The way you look at someone when you already know what they are going to say, but you want them to hear themselves say it. Then he nodded. Sit down. Tell me about this war. And the student sat in the dirt across from his teacher, and it came pouring out of him. The way it comes pouring out of you when someone finally asks, and you can tell they actually want the answer. There are two of me, the student said. One is who I am right now. He is small. He hesitates. He fails. He knows what he should do and does not do it. He wastes time. He wastes his own gifts. The other, the one I see when I close my eyes, he is everything I'm supposed to be. Strong, clear, whole. I can see him so vividly, it's like standing in front of a window looking at someone else's life. And every day the distance between us grows, and every night I lie awake measuring it, and I don't know how to cross it. I don't know how to become him. The teacher listened to all of this without interrupting, and when the student finished, the teacher did something the student did not expect. He asked a question. This person you could become, this strong, whole version of you. Tell me, does he spend his days at war with himself? The student blinked. No. Does he look at himself with contempt? No. If he could see you right now, exhausted, covered in dust, sitting in the dirt, terrified that you'll never be enough, would he look at you and say you are a failure? The student opened his mouth, then closed it. Something shifted behind his eyes. No, he said quietly, I don't think he would. The teacher leaned forward. Then you are already failing to become him, not because you are too weak, but because the method you have chosen is the opposite of everything he is. You are trying to reach peace through violence. You are trying to arrive at self-compassion by way of self-contempt, and you wonder why the distance never closes. Think about that for a moment. Sit with it. Let it land where it needs to land. The student sat very still. The forest was quiet around them. And then he asked the only question he had left. Then how do I end the war? The teacher stood up slowly. He picked up a stick from the ground beside him, and he drew a single line in the dirt between the two of them, one long, clear line. You see this? On this side is who you are, on that side who you could be. You have spent your entire life staring at this line, believing that the moment you cross it, the war will end and you will finally be allowed to rest. Yes? The student nodded. The teacher stepped forward and dragged his foot across the line. The dirt smoothed over. The mark disappeared. The ground between them was whole again. There is no line. There never was. You drew it yourself. And then you spent your life trying to cross something that only existed because you kept redrawing it every morning. He sat back down. He picked up a cup of tea that had been sitting beside him the entire time, and he drank from it, simply, without ceremony. The student stared at the smooth ground. But teacher, he said, if there's no line, if there's no distance, then what do I do? The teacher held the cup in both hands and looked at him with something that was not quite a smile but was close. You do what I just did. You drink your tea. You feel the warmth of the cup. You sit in the dirt and let it hold you. You stop leaving this moment to go stand at a line that does not exist. The person you wish to become does not live on the other side of anything. He lives in your willingness to be here, fully here, without apology, without the need for this moment to be more than it is, without the need for you to be more than you are. Growth is not a war. It is not a crossing. It is what happens when you stop abandoning yourself and finally stay. This story is not about a student in a forest. You know that. This story is about you, lying in the dark at the end of another day spent on the wrong side of a line you drew yourself. You have been standing at that line for years, measuring the distance, punishing yourself for not crossing it, drawing it fresh every morning with the very first thought you have. Not there yet, but the ground beneath you has always been whole. You are the one who keeps splitting it in two. And every time you redraw that line, every time you look at who you are and compare it to who you could be and find yourself lacking, you are not getting closer to the other side. You are deepening the trench. You are reinforcing a border that was never real. Let that settle for a moment. The ground is clear, the line is gone, and now, from this new ground, let me offer you what the teacher offered his student next, not more philosophy. 3 small shifts, the kind that change everything precisely because they ask for almost nothing. The first shift: stop using your future self as a judge. Your future self is not a judge delivering a verdict from the bench. Your future self is a compass. And a compass does not condemn you for being at the starting point. It does not look at where you are and say, too late, too far, not enough. It simply shows a direction. And a direction only requires one thing, that you are somewhere, anywhere. You are always somewhere. You are always enough to begin. So when you catch that voice, the one that says by now you should, or if you were really serious you would, recognize it for what it is. That is the sound of the line being redrawn. And you do not have to cross it, you can simply put the stick down. You know what I mean, don't you? You feel it happening, that first thought in the morning, the line appearing before you've even opened your eyes. The war recruiting you back to the battlefield before breakfast. You can feel it, and now you can name it. The second shift, and this is the one I want you to carry with you. Growth and acceptance are not enemies. They never were. A tree does not reject its roots to reach the sun. It grows from them. It reaches upward precisely because it is anchored in what is, not in what should be. You can want more for your life and be at peace with where you are right now. These are not opposites. They are partners. You can look at your life honestly, see everything that needs to change, and still say to yourself tonight, I am not the enemy here. I am the gardener. And gardeners do not hate the soil. The deepest growth you will ever experience will not happen when you are running from yourself. It will happen when you are finally willing to sit with yourself, all of yourself, everything you are and everything you are not yet, and say, okay, we start from here. You are allowed to do this. You are allowed to grow without self-destruction as the fuel. You do not have to burn yourself down in order to be reborn. You can simply tend what is already growing. The third shift. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, before the war starts, before the measuring begins, I want you to ask yourself one question. Not who should I become today? That question launches the war before your feet touch the floor. Instead, ask this. What is already true about me that I keep ignoring? And then listen, really listen. Because here is what's true. You have courage. You are still here, still searching, still open after everything you've been through, and that is not a small thing. That is a remarkable thing. You have persistence. You have not given up. You could have. Many people do. You didn't. You are here, in the dark, still looking for the answer, and that persistence is not evidence of failure. It is evidence of something unbreakable in you that refuses to stop growing. And you have compassion. You know how I know? Because you are tired of hurting yourself. You are tired of the war. And that tiredness is not weakness. It is your deepest wisdom telling you there is another way. You have been so focused on who you could be that you have overlooked something extraordinary, who you already are. Not your achievements, not your potential, not the highlight reel of some future life, but the being underneath all of it, the one who has survived every version of themselves, every failure, every dark night, every morning where the war started before the light came in, and is still here. Still open, still willing to grow. You are not broken. You have never been broken. Sit with that for a moment. Let it reach the part of you that has been waiting to hear it. And now I want to speak to you not as a teacher, but as someone who sees you clearly, fully, without any of the judgment you have been carrying. I want you to hear something, and I want you to hear it in the part of you that flinches before anyone finishes their sentence, the part that already knows what the verdict will be. You are not behind. You are not failing. You have not wasted your time, your talent, or your chances. You are a human being in the middle of a life, and the middle is not a failure. It is where everything happens. The person you have been so desperate to become, I want you to know something about them. They are not waiting at some finish line, arms crossed, disappointed in how long you are taking. They are right here, right now, listening with your ears, breathing with your lungs, hoping with your heart that tonight might feel a little different. You are not on the wrong side of anything. You never were. Tonight I am asking you to do something radical. I am asking you to stop. Not to stop growing, not to stop wanting more, but to stop punishing yourself for not being there yet. Let the war end. Not tomorrow, not when you've earned it, Now, here, in whatever state you're in whatever room you're sitting in, whoever you are at this exact moment is enough to begin. And beginning is all that was ever required. The line in the dirt was never real. You can stop trying to cross it. You can stop drawing it every morning and erasing it every night. The ground beneath you is whole. It always was. So as you go from here, carry this with you. You were never two, you were always one. One self, learning, stumbling, rising, resting, growing in the only way anything real ever grows. Imperfectly, slowly, with great courage disguised as ordinary days. The war is over, not because one side won, but because you finally saw there was only ever one of you, and that one has always been enough. The dirt is smooth, the line is gone, and you are still here, still standing, still whole. May you walk gently from this place. May you stop drawing lines in the dirt. May you remember, on the mornings when the war tries to start again, that you do not have to fight, you only have to stay. Stay here, stay present, stay kind to the one person you have been hardest on, which is yourself. You are not broken, you have never been broken, and you do not need to cross anything to come home. You are already home. Be still tonight, you have carried enough. Rest now, not as a retreat from becoming, but as the deepest form of it. If these words found you at the right time, if something in you feels even a little bit lighter, leave the word home in the comments. Not for me. For the next person who is lying in the dark, fighting a war they don't know how to end, let them know they are not alone. Let them know the war ends here. Good night.